Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn TDS and TCS provisions. Income Tax Act. We are not going to cover any TDS and TCS provisions of GST Act. Okay. In direct tax, government collects tax in the form of advance tax, TDS, TCS, self-assessment tax. TDS, TCS, and advance tax are paid during the year, and self-assessment is paid at the end of the year, after the end of the year. In this chapter, we are going to have brief of introduction to TDS and TCS, their applicability, important TDS sections, returns to be filed, certificates to be issued, due dates of filing the returns, and paying the challans, and due date to download the certificate, and few other topics like interest and penalties. Okay, let's get into the chapter. Before going to know what TDS mean, we need to know why TDS. Why TDS? Government is providing number of public services like laying the roads, providing pensions, giving education loans for free. There are number of services government is providing. Further, they need money. They can't wait. Further, they can't wait till the end of the year to collect tax. So they introduce TDS and TCS to collect tax during the year. And these TDS and TCS are based on the principle pay as एन जब आप एंड करते हो तभी आप टैक्स पे करते हो. Now we will understand TDS with an example. For example, Mr. A is purchasing some goods from B at a value of 1000 rupees and TDS rate applicable is 0.1%. That is what is the amount that he need to deduct 1000 into 0.1%, 1 rupee. So Mr. A will pay to B only 999 rupees, that is 1000 minus 1. And after that, the 1 rupee he deducted he will pay to the government. This can be understood within this process. Payer deducts tax at source. That means as he deducted 1 rupee from Mr. B, he deposits to the government through challan. In case the one who is deducting tax is a government organization, then it will make adjustment in the books. They don't again pay to the government. They directly make adjustments because both are governments. They don't need to pay challan or rise challan. Okay, so they adjust through book entry. In case of other than government organization, they pay through challans. Then after paying that, they will file a return. What return contains? Who are we? Who are we? The one who deducted. From whom we deducted? What is the amount we deducted? On what amount we deducted? What kind of transaction is it? What section it is covering? What is the challan number? What is the BRS code, etc. These are the contents of return. After filing the return, we will be open to download a certificate, TDS certificate. There are number of certificates like Form 16, Form 16A, Form 16B, etc. And these we will download. Who will download? Deductor will download and he will issue the certificate to the deductee. It is like a proof to the deductee that the deductor who deducted the amount from deductee has paid to the government and filed the return. After that, after receiving the certificate, the payee, that means the one who the deductive, what he do, he at the end of the year when he is paying tax, while calculating his self-assessment tax, he will reduce his liability with TDS and TCS that he has paid and pay the remaining. If TDS and TCS are more than the tax liability he need to pay, he will take refund of the amount. Similarly, TCS. TCS, what is TCS? For example, A is selling goods to C. Mr. C at a selling price of 1000 and TCS rate applicable is 1%. Then A will receive 1000 along with the TCS amount 10 rupees. That is total of 1010. And what he will do? He will keep 1000 as his in sales, and 10 rupees he need to pay to the government. Again the same process, he will pay to the government, then he files the return. Next, he will download the certificate and he will issue the certificate to the payer here, payer. Okay, and the payer will use the refund, will use the amount at the end of the year when he is self-assessing the tax. Now let us go to let us TDS provisions. Section 192, TDS on salaries. The employer who is paying salaries, he will deduct from resident or non-resident. The employee may be resident or non-resident, and applicable slab rate will be the rate at which TDS to be deducted. And in case PAN number is not provided by the employee, the higher slab rate will be applicable. Higher slab rate means 30% slab rate. If any surcharge is applicable, including that surcharge, he will deduct the TDS. And TDS, no need to deduct TDS if the salary doesn't exceed basic exemption limit, because at basic exemption limit, TDS will be, what is the tax we need to pay, that is nil rate. So he don't need to deduct TDS. And TDS will be deducted at the time of payment only, not when it is accrued. So only at the time of payment TDS will be deducted. Next provision, section 192A. It is TDS on premature withdrawal from EPF if resident or non-resident, he may be employee, or after his retirement he is withdrawing amount from the EPF. He will have the trustee of the EPF scheme or the employer, if he is in service, uh, will deduct the TDS at the rate of 10%. And if no PAN is provided, maximum marginal rate, that then he will, the trustee or the employer need to deduct tax at the maximum marginal rate. And the threshold limit is 50,000. Up to 50,000 no need to deduct TDS. And if the amount is withdrawn from the EPF account after completion of 5 years of service, then the employer don't need to deduct TDS from the withdrawal amount. Okay. TDS on interest on securities. Section 193. ये बहुत ही important section है. Section 193, TDS on interest on securities. Deductor is any person and deductee is the resident. Rate on which the TDS is to be deducted is 10%. In case no PAN is provided by the deductee, 20% is the applicable TDS rate. And threshold limit is 5,000 in case of interest on debentures from listed companies, and 10,000 in case of 8% savings bonds 2003 and 7.5% savings bonds 2018. Okay. Section 194, TDS on dividends. It is also an important section. When shareholder resident in India is receiving any dividend from Indian company or a company in which there are prescribed arrangements for declaration and payment of dividend is within India, then the principal officer of that Indian company or the company in which the prescribed arrangements for declaration and payment of dividends within India is made has to deduct TDS on shareholder resident in India at the rate 10%. And the threshold limit is 5,000 rupees. Up to 5,000 rupees you don't need to deduct TDS unless it is paid in cash. If anything is paid in, any dividend is paid in cash, then they need to deduct TDS at the rate 10%. And there are few exceptions. These organizations don't need to deduct TDS on dividends. They are LIC, General Life Insurance Company, and Business Trust, and any other organization which is notified by the central government. Next section, section 194A, TDS on interest other than interest on securities. Who is the deductor? Any person. In case of individual or HUF, there is a condition that their turnover exceeds 1 crore, or in case he is in profession, then the receipts are more than 50,000. Gross receipts are more than 50,000. Sorry, 50 lakh rupees. And from whom he is deducting must be a resident, and rate applicable is 10%. In case no pan is provided by that resident, then he need to deduct 20%. Threshold limit here is 5,000 in case other than financial institutions and bank, and 40,000 or 50,000 for bank or financial institutions. For bank, for 50,000 is applicable in case of senior citizens we know interest, and 5,000 in any other cases other than bank and financial institutions. And interest is received other than savings bank and current account. That means whatever the interest is receiving from savings bank and current account, there is no need to deduct TDS on them. Okay. Section 193 is TDS on interest on securities, and section 194 is TDS on interest other than interest on securities. Okay, that means normal interest like interest on FDs and etc., loans, etc. Section 194C, TDS and payments to contractors or subcontractors. It is the deductor may be any company. In case of individual and HUF, there is basic condition having turnover more than 1 crore and receipts more than 50 lakhs. And deductee may be any person. Rate applicable is 1% in case of individual and HUF, and 2% in any other case. If no PAN is provided by the deductee, then 20% is the applicable rate. Threshold limit is 30,000 in case of single contract and 1 lakh for aggregate of all payments in a year. मतलब एक एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए तो 30,000, अगर साल में बहुत सारी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स ले रहे हैं तो सारी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स मिलकर अगर 1 लाख एक पर्सन के लिए 1 लाख से ज़्यादा है तो TDS काटना पड़ेगा. In case of goods transportation, we will divide them into two categories: the transporter carrying more than 10 vehicles and transporter carrying less than 10 goods carriage vehicles. If he is carrying less than 10 goods vehicles, then he don't need to deduct TDS. However, he need to file a declaration to the government that he is carrying only 10 goods vehicles and he is not deducting TDS. In case of transporter having more than 10 goods vehicles, same like passenger transport, 1% or 2% as the case may be. Next section, section 194H, TDS on commission or brokerage. Deductor. Who is the deductor? Company, partnership, individual, HUF, or any other person. In case of individual and HUF, turnover must be more than 1 crore or gross receipts must be 50 lakh, more than 50 lakhs. Who is the deductor? Any resident individual. And at the rate of 5% we will deduct a TDS. If no PAN is provided, 20% is the rate or to be rate on which we need to deduct TDS. What is the threshold limit? 15,000. Up to 15,000 we don't need to deduct TDS. Next section 194I, TDS on rent. It is also an important section in case of company partnership. Deductor. Deductor may be company partnership firm, individual HF having turnover more than 1 crore or receipts more than 50 lakhs, or any other person. And deductee may be any resident. Rate applicable is 10% in case of land or building, furniture and fixtures, and 2% in case of plant and machinery. You must remember these terms: 10% in case of land, building, furniture and fixtures, and 2% in case of plant and machinery only. And if no PAN is provided, irrespective of the rates applicable, 20% is the rate on which we need to deduct TDS. What is the threshold limit? 2,40,000 per annum. For year, 2,40,000. Up to 2,40,000, we don't need to deduct TDS. Above that, we need to deduct TDS. It is also an important section, so we definitely gonna use in audits. We must definitely check the TDS provision if it exceeds 2,40,000. I just corrected now. TDS applicable on non-refundable advances and TDS is not applicable on refundable advances. मतलब अगर जो भी एडवांस हम देते हैं वो एडवांस हमें वापस मिल जाते हैं एट द एंड ऑफ द टर्म, देन वी डोंट नीड टू डिडक्ट TDS. देन दे डोंट डिडक्ट TDS इफ हम वापस नहीं करना पड़ते हैं, हम रख देते हैं वो, तब हम TDS काटना पड़ेगा. Next section, section 194, IATDS on rent on transfer of immovable property, certain immovable property. It is applicable to any purchaser, and seller may be any resident person. I mean, directly may be any person. Here, the payment will be on transfer of certain immovable property. Rate applicable is 1%. In case no pan is provided, 20%. Threshold limit is 50 lakhs. मतलब up to 50 lakhs there is no need to deduct TDS. Above that we definitely need to deduct TDS. There is yes, we could say there is no limitation on any here it is given any purchaser or any seller. However, there is few exceptions to this. The immobile property must not be agriculture land, and the and the transaction must not be covered under section 194 LA. That means it's a compulsory acquisition scheme. And in case of more than one buyer or more than one seller, then we will consider the whole transaction amount, not the single person's amount, single person consideration. In this we will file a challan come return. Normally we will, as I told you in the process, there will be challan and there will be return. However, there will be here there will be common challan come return, and that is 26 QB, and the certificate generated is 16B. And I will explain this certificate and return in the upcoming class. No TAN is required under this section. Only PAN number is enough here, because there is no restriction on the deductee. Deducting may be any person. The deductor may be any person. So, oh, we just can't ask them for TAN number. What TAN number is? TAN number is the identification number in a TIN to log into NSDCL under TIN FC. The next section is section 194 IB TDS on rent of property. This is also an important section. The debtor may be individual HUF who are not covered in section 194 I. Matlab, the person whose turnover is less than 1 crore and whose aggregate receipts are less than 50 crore. मतलब प्रोफेशन की जो रिसिप्ट्स है उसमें वो 50 लाख से कम है और टर्नओवर है 1 करोड़ से कम है. Undeducted may be any person. The rate applicable is 5%. And in the earlier case it is 10%. In this case it is 5%. Here the property is residential property. I didn't written here. I should have written. Okay. I will tell you like this. That here the rate applicable is 5% and the property must be residential property, and rate applicable is 20% if no pan is provided. Threshold limit is 50,000 per month. A few people confuse for year and month. 50,000 per month. Okay, that means 50,000 multiply with 12, 6 lakhs per year. In this case also there is common challan come written. 26 QC is filed and certificate issued will be 16C. No TAN is required under this section, and PAN is required for this written, because not everyone will have TAN. Just like I said earlier, not everyone file TDS returns. No, only those file TDS returns will have um, TAN number, and this is not possible for everyone. So they just do it with the PAN. There are only three sections under which we file without the TAN number, and I will tell you in the later session. Next section 194J. This is also an important section for our professionals. Okay, TDS on professional, technical, or royalty. The deductor may be any person, company, firm, individual, HF, or any other person. However, the individual, or in case of individual HF, um, the turnover of more than 1 crore or receipts more than 50 lakhs are covered here. If same like earlier case, if individual or HEF are having turnover less than 1 crore or 50 lakh, gross receipt 50 lakh, it will be covered in another section. So remember this: individual and turnover must have turnover more than individual and HF must have turnover more than 1 crore and receipts are more than 50 lakhs. Here, deducting may be any resident person. The rate applicable is 10% of professional services. Normally, in this case, royalty penalty, who will receive? Who will receive? Only individuals, no? In case of royalty, there may be a company and all, but in case of professional things, definitely individual will be there. What is the rate deductee? Who is the deductee? Any resident person, because there may be individual or there may be firms also, audit firms in audit companies. There are number of things, so number of persons. So I written only resident. What is the rate applicable? 10% in case of professional services, royalty, non-compete fees, director sitting fees, and 2% in case of technical services. 2% in case of business exclusively in call centers. What is the rate applicable if no TAN is provided? Irrespective of all the rates provided, 20% is the rate if no TAN is provided. 10, I'm telling you again, 10% in case of professional services, royalty, non-compete fees, director sitting fees. Definitely remember these rates. 2% in case of technical services, 2% in case of business exclusive in call centers. What is the threshold limit? There is no threshold limit in case of director fees. In case of director fees only, there is no threshold limit. That means in case he is receiving 1 rupee, we definitely need to deduct a TDS at the rate 10%. In case no TAN is provided, no PAN is provided, 20%. We definitely need to deduct from that 1 rupee also. Next, and in any other cases, 30,000 will be the 30,000 will be threshold, and that is for annum. 30,000 per annum for technical services, professional services, royalties, and non-compete fees. TDS applicable only on non-refundable deductions and not applicable on refundable deductions. Next section, section 194N, TDS on cash withdrawal from bank or post office. This will be helpful in case of concurrent or stat audits of banks. Okay, the debtor may be banking company, cooperative society engaged in the business of banking. Okay, deductee. Who is the deductee? Any resident or non-resident. He may be any resident or non-resident. Rate applicable is 2% or 5% as the case may be. In which cases 2% is applicable, in which cases 5% is applicable, we will explain here. In case ITR is filed for last 3 previous years and cash withdrawal is excess of 1 crore, only 2% is applicable. If cash withdrawal exceeds 1 crore, then only the TDS rate applicable, and the rate applicable is 2%. If no ITR is filed for the last 3 previous years, then cash withdrawal from 20 lakhs to 1 crore, मतलब 20 लाख से ज़्यादा और 1 crore से कम निकाल रहे तो 2%. If cash withdrawal in excess of 1 crore, 5%. And in case no TAN is provided, no PAN is provided, there is no restriction, 20% is provided, 20% TDS will be applicable. Threshold limit, as I told you, 1 crore or 20 lakhs as the case may be. In the following, the deductee must be any resident or non-resident. However, that resident or non-resident must not be banks, banking correspondents मतलब जो रूरल एरियाज में प्रोवाइड करते हैं ना सर्विसेज बैंकिंग की, वो एंड वाइट लेबल एटीएम ऑपरेटर्स, कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स, पोस्ट ऑफिस, सेंट्रल स्टेट बैंक, other persons notified by the government in consultation with the RP. If these persons are withdrawing the amount, then we don't need to deduct TDS. We are what? Bank or cooperative societies which are providing banking services. Next section, section 194Q, TDS on purchase of goods. It is applicable with effect from 1st July 2021. The date is really important. Remember this. Deductor is the buyer or on purchase of goods. He we need to remember that only goods are covered, not services, and the buyer turnover must exceed 10 crore in the previous year. Deductee is the seller of the goods, and rate applicable is 0.1%, not 1%, it is 0.1%. But that means in 1000 it is 1 rupee, not on 100. On 1000 it is 1 rupee, on 100 it is 0.1 rupee, that means 10 paisa. And if no pan is provided, it is 5% rate, and in all other cases it's 20%. In this case only 5%. Threshold limit will be 50 lakhs. If up to 50 lakhs, there will be no TDS to be deducted. In case it exceeds 50 lakhs, it is applicable from the 50 lakh 1 rupee. That means in case 60 lakhs is the purchases, only on 10 lakhs we will deduct a TDS. And another thing is the purchases we are here considering here is per person, not for all aggregate amount. That means in case there are four sellers, we will consider for each seller whether it is exceeding 50 lakhs. Okay, it is a really important section. Big six must all the big companies must remember. And in case the seller is deducting is collecting TCS under 206C, then we don't need to deduct TDS. However, if he is not collecting TCS, it is our responsibility to deduct TDS liability comes first. Next, section 194p, in case of specified senior citizen. What banking company is the deductor? Deductor is a senior citizen, and that means 75 years or more, not 60 years or more. Here 75 years or more, and rate is applicable at the slab rate, and condition is total income includes pension or interest income. Whatever the income he is earning, pension or interest must be included in the total income, and declaration must be given by the deductee that please don't deduct. I am here. The conditions are for not deducting, and declaration must be given by the deductee not to deduct, otherwise the banking company will have to deduct from the senior citizen at slab rate. 194 LA, I already told you it is an exception to section 194 IA. I will show you. 194 IA, in case of transfer of certain immobile property, here we have given 194 LA as an exception. Here, the payment of compensation on acquisition of certain immobile property. In case of acquisition of immobile property, we are receiving any compensation. The deductor may be any person. The deductor must be resident. Rate applicable is at the rate 10% up to 2 lakh 40. We don't need to deduct any TDS. Nature will be like any sum being in the nature of compensation or enhanced compensation, or the consideration or the enhanced consideration on account of compulsory acquisition under any law for the time being in force, or any immovable property other than agricultural land. In here also agricultural land is not covered. And another thing is, and here the compulsory acquisition must be done by the deductor. That means only compulsory acquisition is under any law for the time being in force is covered here. And another thing is, here there is an exception in case the compensation is exempted under income tax act, there is no need to deduct a TDS. Few compensations are exempted in income tax act. You could see in the exemptions chapter. It isn't that important. Very few cases we will deal with this, so I'm not covering it in depth. Next section, section 194M, payment of certain sums by certain individuals or Hindu undivided family. It is also I already told you, it is an example in exemption in case of section 194H. I already told you that in case of 194J and 194C also, I told you Individual HUF whose turnover exceeds 1 crore and gross receipts 50 lakhs. In the given case, who will be covered? Those whose turnover is less than 50, sorry, 1 crore, and whose gross rate less than 50 lakhs are covered. And those cases, the individual who have turnover excess of 1 crore and gross rate excess of 1 crore but not covered under section 194C, 194H and 194J will be covered here. It is like a residual section on those not covered there will be here. And the deducting may be any person, applicable rate will be 5%. However, if the amount doesn't exceed 50 lakh rupees, we don't need to deduct TDS. Now we'll going to TCS provisions. TCS is small, not like TDS. I skip few TDS provisions because they aren't that important. I covered the major and mainly used TDS provisions. Now let us go to TCS provisions. In this provision, certain people are required to collect a specified percentage of tax from their buyers on exceptional transaction. What are the exceptional transactions? I will explain. Um, and what are the goods that we need to buy, that is also important, and are utilized for the purpose of trading. Then tax is payable, collected by the seller at the point of sale. At the point of sale only collected, and the rate applicable is different for different kinds of categories. What are the goods covered here? लिक्कर फॉर ऑल लिक्कर ऑफ अल्कोहलिक नेचर, मतलब जो कंज्यूम करते हैं ना हम वो, टिम्बर, और टिम्बर वो भी फॉरेस्ट लीज में जो टिम्बर होते हैं टिम्बरवुड वही लेते हैं। तेंदुलिप्स मतलब जो बीड़ी बनाते हैं ना वो। टिम्बरवुड बाय एनी अदर मोड अदर देन फॉरेस्ट लीज है, और अदर देन फॉरेस्ट लीज भी है फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस अदर देन टेंडू लीव्स एंड टिम्बर, एनी अदर फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस अदर देन टेंडू लीव्स एंड टिम्बर, एनी स्क्रैप सेल और एनी minerals like ignite coal, iron ore. All these will be covered and there will be specific rate for that. In case of alcoholic liquor in the which consumed by humans, that is 1%. In case of timberwood under forest lease, 2.5%. Timberwood by any other mode other than forest lease, that is also 2.1 or 2.5%. Tendules is 5%, this is the highest rate. And forest produce other than tendules and timber 2.5%. Scrap we will have 1%. Scrap is important percentage, you need to remember. Timber wood is also important percentage that we need to remember. Liquor is also important percentage, 1%, that is also important. Minerals like ignite coal, iron ore, 1%. Purchase of motor vehicle exceeding 10 lakhs, if we are purchasing any motor vehicle in excess of 10 lakhs, we definitely pay TCS at the rate 1% on that, not on the excess amount but on the whole amount. In case of parking lot, toll plaza, mining, quarrying, the TCS rate is 2%, where total turnover is more than 10 crores in the previous year. When person is selling some goods to a buyer and the total turnover of the seller exceeds 10 crores in the previous financial year and receives sale consideration of any products of more than 50 lakhs, and whatever he is selling, he is selling to a specific person more than 50 lakhs, and such seller must collect TCS upon receiving consideration from the buyer on such amount over and above 50 lakhs, not on the whole amount but on what the amount that is over and above 50 lakhs. Here the rate is 0.1%. Same 194 too, but there the seller will be there and his turnover must exceed 10 crore. In this case, buyer turnover exceeds 10 crore and his and rate applicable is the same. And here the purchases exceeds 50 lakhs from the specific fixed seller. Here the sales exceed 50 lakhs from the specific buyer. Few other important notes: if Aadhaar or PAN is unavailable in TCS, there is no need of no compulsory need of PAN. In some cases, like in forest, we will go and buy wood. We don't need to have PAN number. So we will provide Aadhaar. If in case Aadhaar or PAN is unavailable, then TCS rate applicable is 10% in all the cases. Such TCS is collected while debiting the buyer's account on receipt of money whichever is earlier. जब हम मनी लेते हैं ना, तभी हम ले लेना चाहिए मनी TDS TCS का अमाउंट. In few cases there will be higher rate if the buyer has not filed the TCS, sorry, ITR return, income tax return for the last 2 financial years before the relevant financial in which the TCS has been collected. The time limit to file the ITR has expired, and here you need to see and that means all the three conditions must be satisfied. Then there will be higher rate that will be applicable. Not filed ITR for last 3 financial years before the relevant financial year in which TCS had to be collected, and the limit for the ITR has been expired, and the total of TCS and TCS are more than 50,000 in case of 2 financial years. In those 2 financial years, the total amount of TCS and TDS मिलकर more than 50,000 है, तब हम हायर रेट अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. Such higher rate will be highest of the following. What is that higher rate? It may be 5% or two times the TCS rate mentioned in the income tax act. मतलब अगर स्क्रैप सेल किया, हम TDS पे नहीं, स्क्रैप सेल किया और हम 3 कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई कर रहे हैं, सो हम हायर रेट अप्लीकेबल होगा. मतलब 1% is the applicable rate here. 1% multiply with 2, that is 2%. 2% or 5%, what whichever is higher, that is 5%. In case of 10 beliefs, what will be the rate? 10%, because 5% into 2, 10%, and 5%, what whichever is higher, that is 10%. Next, who will be the seller? Not all sellers can collect TCS, only few sellers collect TCS. There are some specific people or organization who have been classified as sellers for tax collected at the source. No other seller of the goods can collect tax at source from the buyer apart from the following list. Who are they? Who are the sellers? Central government, state government, local authority, statutory corporation or authority, company registered under Companies Act, partnership firms, cooperative society, any person or HUF who is subject to an audit of accounts under Income Tax Act for a particular financial year. Any person or HUF who is subject to audit of accounts under Income Tax Act for the particular financial year. That means only those who get audited are covered here. And cooperative societies, partnership companies, statutory corporations, and authority, local authority, central government, state government are only covered here. Next, TCS will not be collected from the following persons from whom we don't need to collect TCS. Of course, we will cover central government and state government and other public sector companies, embassies of higher commission, consulate and other trade representation of a foreign nation, clubs such as sports clubs and social clubs. Those means charitable activities, but specifically sports clubs and social clubs. And where resident buyer utilizes such purchase for the purpose of manufacturing, processing, or producing articles or things, or for the purpose of generation of power, and gives his declaration of writing in duplicate. अगर वो डिक्लेरेशन फाइल करेगा डुप्लीकेट में, ही इज यूजिंग दैट फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेसिंग और प्रोड्यूसिंग आर्टिकल्स और फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ जनरेटिंग power, then he don't need to collect TCS. Now we covered more than half of the chapters. We'll now consider what are the different types of return and what type of return is filed for what kind of return and what kind of purpose, and what are the certificates that we will download for those returns. For salary income, there will be for, it may be for resident or non-resident. 24Q is a salary return. Here salary return means only the TDS return. Okay, TDS salary return. For salary income, we will file 24Q and we will download certificate 16, form 16. Here certificate means form 16. And in case of any other income other than salary to a resident, here only resident, other than salary, if he is receiving any income, 26Q is the one we file. These two are really important, just remember them blindly. 26Q for any income other than salary to the resident, and form we will download is 16A. And in case of any income other than salary to a non-resident, then the return will be 27Q. 27Q 16A is the form that will be downloaded. Here remember the forms and returns also. Next, in case of TCS, we will file 27EQ, and the certificate that will be downloaded is 27D, 2727. We just need to remember the lost letters. And in all returns we will see Q means quarter. For every quarter we file return, so Q is added to the return. 24Q for salary income, 26Q for any income other than salary to the resident, 27Q EQ is for TCS, 27Q is for any income other than salaries to the non-resident. Next, I already told you few, for three sections there will be no need of TAN number. All those cases are 194IA, 194IB, and 194M. In those cases, TDS on sale of property 194IA. 26QB is the return that to be filed. Just like remember, like B means building. Okay, sale of property 26QB. Certificate to be issued is 16B. B means B. And the same letter follows in the certificate. And in case of rent 194IB में जो रिटर्न होते हैं 26QC and certificate will be 16C. And in case of contractual or professional payments 194M, I already told you it is like a residual section, those not covered in 194IA, 194C, 194H I will cover here. That is the section 194M. And for the 26QB is the written and certificate will be 16B. What are the TCS due dates? Before that, TDS due dates. These returns will be filed for every quarter, not immediately. These will be filed for every quarter. Every quarter, quarter one. What is the quarter one? April to June. For quarter two, July to September. For quarter three, September, October to June. For quarter four, January to March. For quarter one, 31st July. The TDS due date is 30th day of the following month in which the quarter ended. 30th day of the month following the quarter. For the last month, that means March month, it is 31st May. Other than that, the preceding month end date. ओके 31 जुलाई 31 अक्टूबर सितंबर के बाद अक्टूबर आते हैं अक्टूबर का 31 दिसंबर के बाद जनवरी आते हैं जनवरी का 31 डेट एंड मार्च में एक और मंथ ऐड होगी अप्रैल मई का 31 डेट नेक्स्ट टीडीएस का कोई ऑलरेडी रिटर्न मैंने बता दिया 27EQ और इसका सर्टिफिकेट 27D और इसका ड्यू डेट क्या होते हैं कि फॉर एवरी क्वार्टर एंड क्वार्टर कब एंड होगी दैट सेम लाइक TDS quarter will end on April, June, September, December, March. For June, 15th July. Next month, 15th date. In that case, we have 30 days, but in this case, we will have only 15 days. 15th जुलाई 15th अक्टूबर सितंबर के बाद अक्टूबर आते हैं ना 15th अक्टूबर दिसंबर के बाद जनवरी 15th मार्च मतलब मार्च में एक और मंथ ऐड होगी मार्च के बाद अप्रैल अप्रैल के बाद में मई का 15th में ओके एंड we need to generate the certificates within 15 days from the filing of return. It is compulsory, we must definitely remember this, otherwise we have to face penalties. Okay, 30th July का 30th अक्टूबर का 30th, जनवरी का 30th, मई का 30th. And TDS certificate is also same. We need to download it within 15 days from the filing of return, due date of filing the return. Next, when will be the payment to be made? Before filing the return, we need to pay the amount to the government. What will be the date that we need to pay the amount? Immediately preceding the month, seventh day of the next month. मतलब अगर मैंने जनवरी में टीसीएस कलेक्ट किया तो जनवरी के बाद क्या आएगी? फ़रवरी, फ़रवरी का 7th डेट में 7th डे में मैं ये जमा करना पड़ेगा। वही ड्यू डेट है 7th डेट के अंदर-अंदर मैं चालान पे करना पड़ेगा। ड्यू डेट फॉर टीडीएस और टीसीएस दोनों के लिए इज़ ऑलवेज़ द 7th डे ऑफ द नेक्स्ट मंथ एक्सेप्ट फॉर द मंथ ऑफ मार्च। अदर देन मार्च एवरीथिंग for every month it will be 7th day, and in case of March month, that is 30th April, we will be given 30 days time, not the 7 days time. We will be given 30 days time, and the challan will be filed in 281. In income tax we will file 280. In this TDS, 281 is the challan number. Challan number is also important. Challan 281. All the sums collected by the office of government shall be deposited on the same in case government is collecting TCS or TDS, then it must deposit on the same day. Other than government, 7th day or 5th 30th April, as the case may be. Matlab here book adjustment will be done in case few organization will also pay challan. In that case, they need to pay on the same day of collection. There are few rules. TDS and TCS deposited without challan. If TDS or TCS has been deposited without a challan, चालान नहीं लिखा. The person to whom TDS or TCS has been reported for deposit in the government, such person has to submit a statement in Form 24G to the agency authorized by the Principal Director of Income Tax. प्रिंसिपल डायरेक्टर को हम 24G फॉर्म सबमिट करना पड़ेगा इफ वी डिडंट पे थ्रू चालान. And such form 24G must be submitted within 15 days from the end of relevant month. मतलब अगर मैंने मार्च में पे किया, मार्च का 30th से 15 डेज मतलब अप्रैल आएगा. ये अप्रैल 30th पे पे करना. फॉर द मंथ ऑफ मार्च द फॉर्म शुड बी सबमिटेड बाय 30th April 2019. Form 24G must be submitted electronically. If we are not submitting it electronically, it must be when we are submitting electronically, it must contain digital signature. Otherwise, we can't submit it. If we are not filing electronically, then if we don't have digital signature, it must be filed electronically. If we don't have digital signature, then we must attach Form 27A. We must verify form 27A. That means we need to make the form signed by the principal officer or the person who is responsible for collecting and paying TCS or TDS to the government, or verified through an electronic process. Matlab 24G must be filed electronically, whether it is with digital signature or online verification to 27A. It depends on our feasibility, and it must be issued within 15 days from the end of relevant month. And in case of late payment or late deduction of TDS, we will be levied, we will have to pay few, we will be pay in, we will have to pay interest. What is the interest rate? 1% for every month or part of the month for delay in deduction of tax. In case of deduction of tax, 1% for every month or part of the month, includes part of the month also did, from the due date of deduction to the date of actual deduction. मतलब डेज का काउंट नहीं है, मंथ्स का काउंट है, और पार्ट ऑफ द मंथ भी मंथ की तरह की काउंट करेगा। और कब से शुरू होगा? ड्यू डेट से शुरू होगा, मतलब ड्यू डेट का जो मंथ है ना वो पूरी की पूरी काउंट कर दी जाएगी, और जब तक हम पे नहीं करते तब तक हम काउंट करना, उस मंथ तक हम काउंट करना पड़ेगा। मतलब अगर मैंने हम्म, जून मंथ का डिडक्ट नहीं किया, जून मंथ का जो डिडक्ट करना पड़ेगा उसका ड्यू डेट कहाँ है? जुलाई, जुलाई 7, सॉरी जून मंथ में ही डिडक्ट करना पड़ेगा। मतलब जून मंथ, और मैंने क्या कब तक पे नहीं किया? अगस्त मंथ तक पे नहीं किया, अगस्त मंथ में डिडक्ट किया मैंने, जो भी अमाउंट डिडक्ट करना पड़ेगा उनसे पूछ कर मैंने अगस्त मंथ में डिडक्ट किया। हम कितनी मंथ का इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा? जून मंथ, जुलाई मंथ, अगस्त मंथ, मतलब 3 महीने का जो इंटरेस्ट है ना, जो 3 महीने का इंटरेस्ट हम 1% के हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करते हैं। 1% फॉर मंथ, मतलब 12% फॉर ईयर, 1% पर मंथ, 3 मंथ्स का 3%, जो भी अमाउंट है उसका 3% में कैलकुलेट करके पे करना पड़ेगा। अगर मैंने डिडक्ट कर दिया पर गवर्नमेंट को पे नहीं किया, मतलब वो मैंने बिजनेस में यूज़ कर दिया या मेरे पास ऐसे ही रख दिया, तब क्या करना पड़ेगा? इंटरेस्ट रेट एट द रेट 1.5%। सिमिलरली, just like in the case of non-deduction, it will be calculated like every month or part of the month from the delay of remittance of tax up to the date of deduction। मतलब मैंने जो अगस्त में ఇప్పుడు फॉर एग्जांपल जो जून महीने का मैं डिडक्ट करना पड़ेगा, जून महीने का मैंने डिडक्ट किया, पर जून 7 जो जून का होते हैं जुलाई 7 में पे करते हैं। जुलाई से लेकर तब तक मैं वो जमा नहीं किया, मतलब दिसंबर में जमा किया मैंने, मतलब जुलाई, अगस्त, सितंबर, अक्टूबर, दिसंबर, 5 महीने का इंटरेस्ट एट द रेट 1.5% फॉर एवरी मंथ। 5 महीना का मतलब 7.5% आएगा। 7.5% में इंटरेस्ट पे करना पड़ेगा, जो भी अमाउंट है उसमें कैलकुलेट करके। एंड देर विल बी पेनल्टी आल्सो। I already told you the interest. I only told you the interest, not the penalty. And what is the penalty? In case of filing the return, we have deduction and payment. In case of return, I already told you. In case of late filing of return, TDS rate, TDS will be penalty will be paid at the rate 200 for every day during which the failure continues। मतलब मैं 10 दिन लेट किया रिटर्न फाइल करने में, 10 दिन का एक एक दिन का 200 का 10 दिन के लिए कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा, मतलब 2,000 रुपीज़ पे करना पड़ेगा। ये बहुत ही गंभीर प्रोविजन है। इट इज़ इंट्रोड्यूस्ड जस्ट टू make us sure that it is really important, TDS is really important। In case TCS or TDS return is not filed before or on the due date prescribed in this regard, then he shall be liable to pay by the way of fee a sum of 200 for, this is pay not penalty, 200 for every month during which the failure continues। The amount of late fees shall not exceed the amount of TDS। However, the amount, अगर मैं जो 2000 मैंने कैलकुलेट, पर मैंने जो पे करना पड़ेगा TCS या TDS जो भी मिलकर वो मेरा 500 ही है। अगर 500 ही है, मतलब जो इंटरेस्ट आ रहे है उससे कम है, तो इन दोनों का लोअर होता है ना, वही हम लेंगे। मतलब लोअर ऑफ 200 for every day during which the failure continues and the TDS amount whichever is lower. Okay, and minimum penalty of rupees 10,000 and maximum penalty up to 1 lakh it will be levied if the deductor collector doesn't file TDS or TCS return on correct TDS, or he files the return but he files incorrect or TDS or TCS return. Here not late filing, here non filing और लेट फाइलिंग और इनकरेक्ट रिटर्न फाइलिंग, इन तीनों की कवर करेगा पेनल्टी, और लेट फीस ओनली लेट फाइलिंग के रिटर्न कर और लेट फाइलिंग ऑफ रिटर्न की कवर करेगा। बस हो गया, बस हो गया, आज का क्लास हो गया। एंड मैं बताना चाहता हूँ ये मेरी पहली वीडियो है और मुझे नहीं पता मैंने कैसे किया। आई थिंक इट इज़ इन एवरेज वीडियो। अगर आपको अच्छी लगी तो लाइक करो, अगर अच्छी नहीं लगी तो क्यों अच्छी नहीं लगी ये आप मुझे कमेंट करके बता दो, सो आई कुड इम्प्रूव माई सेल्फ। अगर आपको किसी भी इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक के लिए आपको वीडियो चाहिए तो मुझे कमेंट करके बताना। आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट इन द इंग्लिश ओनली। अगर आप हिंदी में चाहते हो तो मैं हिंदी में एक्सप्लेन करूँगी। एंड अगर आपको ये पीपीटी चाहिए तो मुझे कमेंट में बता देना, मैं उसका लिंक मैं आपको दे दूँगी, मेरा ड्राइव का लिंक। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर लिसनिंग टू दिस वीडियो, थैंक यू। प्लीज़ कमेंट करो और लाइक करो, प्लीज़ सपोर्ट मी, थैंक यू।